And we are live. All right.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right, Philotimo, number 3. All right, we're going to do something a little different this time. What I've done is grabbed about 20 questions off of Google. So I typed in the first 3 to 4 words and then let Google autofill and then try to pick a question near the top of the list. How many, what are the most asked
Search
questions?
items.
Yeah, yep. What are the most searched items on Google? Most of which were medical or relationship, no medical included. And I'm basically going to ask Sam, get his responses on these. Sam doesn't know what these questions are. He hasn't seen yet. All right. First off, my brother Anthony, 30th birthday. Happy birthday, bro. Love you.
Happy birthday indeed.
And kind of cool. First question.
Yeah.
Where should I be at 30?
Well, I'm not at 30, so no, but I'm 29, so I think I'm close enough for that.
Yeah, you are.
Where should I be at 30? Good start. So I imagine this isn't a physical question, right? Like you are wherever you are. From a physical standpoint, in my mind, it'd be nice to be around family. But to each their own. If you're called to be somewhere else, then so be it. Yeah. But from what I think the question is intending to ask is like, where should I be career-wise? Where should I be relationally? What should I be with those things? I think to each their own path, right? As a general statement, good for them wherever you're going. I think at 30, you should probably have some level of understanding of what type of career you want to aim at. And it's funny enough because like I myself am in a career that I can do indefinitely, but I may like to do something different. So that's not a hard and fast rule. It's just know where you are currently. Relationally, it would be good to be in a relationship, though, man, I feel like I'm going to say this about most everything here because everything is varied, but to each their own on that. Understand relationships at 30. By that point in time, understand what's effective, what's not effective. And I think one of the more critical things about that would be understanding yourself. At 30, having a good understanding of who you are, what you're effective at, what you like to do, what you don't like to do, and then what you need from the important aspects of life. So what you need from a career, what you need from a relationship, what you need from the friends around you, and then what you also need to impart on the rest of all of that, what you need to give to those things.
Yep.
I think that's just a sum up.
Yeah, I think that's really good. I would say have your health in order as well. I would say have your health in order, have your finances in order, and avoid making big mistakes.
Yeah.
Like you should know what big mistakes are and how to avoid them.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
I like health and finance too because that's...
by that time, like, that can make or break the next 30, 40 years of your life.
You're right. I think health is one thing we don't really touch on so much so far, but I think it's really critical. Be physically active. Continue to be physically active into your 30s. Don't just be stagnant and rely on, I eat good enough. No, be physically active. Don't care what that is.
Yep.
Just do something.
That actually rolls into a different question.
Love it.
Why should I start working out?
This is my favorite one so far. Why not?
Why not?
But for real, start working out. Oh man, as a male, I'll answer it as a male. I can't answer it for a female. As a male, first and foremost, you are going to increase your testosterone level. So what that does for you, higher levels of testosterone are directly correlated to success in life for males. And that's not like I'm a dominant. No, it literally gives you confidence in nearly every aspect of your life. So if you want to go meet somebody new or something like that, if you have a higher level of testosterone, you're more driven to do those things. Working out is going to do that for you. And I don't care what that is. You could do CrossFit, go running, weightlifting, whatever. It does not matter. But anything that's going to stimulate muscle growth, super useful. On top of that, you're going to release endorphins, right? You're going to be physically happier doing that. Funny side note, I took this week off of working out, and I could physically feel the difference. And like, I was way more agitated, much more easily upset, and just like a bunch of things in my life were a little bit worse off for not having worked out. And I did that for a particular reason. But that being said, working out, I don't remember who said this, but if you work out, you're going to improve every other aspect of your life. I have no science to back that up. That is pure subjective information, but I think that is completely accurate. What's your take on that?
Yeah. First off, you only get one body. You know, you gotta take care of it. In regards to testosterone, between ages 26 and 30, we start to lose 1% to 2% of our testosterone every single year. And physical activity, you want aerobic and anaerobic activities. Mm-hmm. Very important to do both. And I would tie diet into this as well.
Sure.
But it is the number one combatant to dementia and Alzheimer's. And
really?
Cognitive function. It's the number one that we know of. If you want to stave off mental decline, physical activity.
I may have heard that in passing, but it did not burn in my mind.
Yes, that's the number one.
That's awesome. That's super awesome.
Okay,
Love that.
I'm going to go through some of the highest ranked questions. I'll do one on men and one on women.
All right, let's do it.
So this was the number one search if you type in why do men.
Okay.
It is why do men lie?
Oh, on numerous amounts of reasons. I think right out of the gate, we think that it'll give us success that it actually won't give us. So if we're lying about something, we're aiming at something. It could be to make someone happy. It could be that you want to get to a certain place. It could be that you're not even aware of the truth. But regardless, the intent of that lie is going to be you want a certain outcome and you think the lie is going to give you that outcome. But I would drastically state that if you're not telling the truth, whatever the outcome you're getting is going to be tainted and wrong. Even if you think you want a particular outcome and that particular lie will give it to you, it won't. It won't, because that is not actually what you need. You need to address whatever that truth is, acknowledge it, and deal with the real reality of that situation rather than just going, oh, this lie is going to get me through this situation or get me the result I want. It won't. It may give you the acute result, but the long term is going to be failure because of it.
Yep. You're creating a fictitious existence versus improving the reality.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I would say, I'm guessing a lot of women probably ask that. If the guy is a liar, I would say, like, he just is a liar, get away. 2 other reasons he might lie.
Yeah, hit me with them.
Doesn't want to offend you. Just, you know, like,
passive.
He cares about you, so he's not a bad guy at all. He's a good guy. He really cares about you. Maybe he just
doesn't have the strength to deal with the truth.
And then the third option, which this is going to be a bitter pill to swallow, is maybe if someone is lying to you, maybe they might be a shitty person.
Sure.
But let's say they're not. Let's say they are a good person, they love you, and they're lying to you. Maybe you're an unreasonable, unaccepting, controlling cunt. You know? Maybe.
Potentially.
Maybe. And that goes both ways.
Yeah.
You know, obviously.
And I think all of that is kind of wrapped up in what I was saying. So, like, when somebody is aiming at...
Sorry.
You're good.
Sorry, pardon my French, guys.
Really, when you're lying, you're aiming for an intent, right? Like, you're like, I want this particular outcome, right? And no matter the circumstance or scenario, say you're not willing to deal with the truth aspect of it, or you're not willing to deal with someone's response on it because they're unreasonable or whatever, you're still aiming for a particular outcome. It's still your responsibility to deal with it.
Yep. And you know what I mean? Like, if you're in a relationship where you have to lie for the success of the relationship, and I get like little white lies here and there, you know, for the benefit of each other. But like, and even then,
it's still probably not the best thing ever, but I understand where it comes from.
Yeah, I need to actually sit down and think about that one and see how I truly feel from a moral standpoint. Probably bad. Let's just chalk it probably bad.
I would think so.
But overall lying, because you're not going to... Why would you want to live that way? Why would you want to be there?
You know what's actually an interesting concept? The only time I can ever think of... So, I've ran my mind on, is there ever a time where it's appropriate to lie? And for a while I was like, no, absolutely not. You should just bare knuckle deal with it. And then I had like the most extreme example thrown at me by something I was watching was, if you were housing Jews in the Holocaust, and they came in like, do you have Jews in your home? Yeah, totally. Like, no.
Yeah.
That's an appropriate time to lie. Yeah. But that is a few and far between occasion.
Yes. Are you staving off pure evil?
Right.
And
that's got to be clear, because that line can be drawn at different points, and you can be doing absolutely not good things in the name of something good. It's no. Yeah. It's got to be extreme for that to be important.
Okay. Cool. Good. Now the women one.
All right. Let's hit it.
Okay. Why do women talk so much?
Oh, man. I used to have a thing on this when I was younger. I think this could be incorrect. I don't know, but I think it might be true. I think boys learn to walk before women, and women learn to talk before boys. They're not like coincide, like you learn to walk and talk at the same time. Not that. Boys learn to walk before women. Women learn to speak before boys.
Interesting.
I could be wrong in that. I'm not saying I know that for a fact. I just think that I read this information at some point. But why do they talk? Why do they talk so much was the question?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I don't
even know. Do you want to hear my theory on it?
Yeah, please do.
Go back thousands of years, evolutionary period.
Mm-hmm.
Men are out hunting, fighting. Ooh. Silence is key. Silence is key.
Interesting.
To get your food and not to be detected by your enemy.
Mm.
Whereas women are gathering home, and that's just how they communicate.
You need to transfer information and learn things.
Yep. You need to transfer very specific information about poisonous berries, your infants, how are they doing, this and this and this. And I think that's why women are much better at picking up body language cues. I think they're like 7 times more observant. Don't quote me on that. Yeah. Women are like 7 times more observant per my knowledge. And I think that's because for millennia, they stared at little infants, and just to see how the infant's doing. Whereas men, that's why men, like, we can do activities we actually enjoy doing activities without talking.
Yeah.
Watching a football game. Because we're used to, like, we want someone there. Because it's like, okay, we're protected.
It's good to be around
people. We're not
people
out in the wilderness by ourselves. Mm-hmm. But be quiet, dude.
Yeah.
The antelope's going to hear you.
Yeah.
The antelope or the other tribe's going to hear you.
Dude.
That's my theory.
That is an interesting concept. I'd have to do some deep thought on that, but I like that. Just right out of the gate. That is intriguing. And I think there's something to the females have to convey knowledge to children to help them grow, right? Yeah. So they're probably communicating more often than males. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I like that you took it back to this level of primal brain, like where we come from. Not quite lizard brain, but get it there. No, that's good. That's good. I also like that we're like throwing out facts like we know them, but
well, it's obviously.
Oh, it's definitely this. It's like we have no background for any of this stuff. Yeah, I have no knowledge, but at least we're acknowledging that. And what we're saying could be accurate, could not. Please check it if it is. But I think there's at least some monicum of like reality behind what we're thinking through here.
Monicum's a good word.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
I contextually understand it, but couldn't define it for you right now.
Okay. Yep. Every day I've been trying to look up a new word, or even a word I know, and just look up the definition of it. Monicum will be the word.
We'll have to look that up after this.
Yeah. I'm going to pound out a couple relationship ones here.
Hit me with them.
And then there's a few that I didn't really expect. Kind of focus on life in general.
Okay, yeah.
We'll pound it. So let's get through 2 relationship ones, and then we'll pound through the rest of those.
Let's do it.
Is it a good idea to be friends with your ex?
Right out of the gate, I'd say no. Okay? Especially because you have some kind of emotional ties there. And if you're still maintaining a relationship with them, you're not going to be able to fully release from that. You have too much connection in there to be able to fully impart yourself in a new relationship if you're aiming at that.
And it's not fair to your new partner.
No. I think there's probably some rare occasions where that's not the case, but I think that is entirely an exception to the rule.
Yeah, I would say if we had to throw a blanket over it, no. There's going to be those instances where it's like, hey, this person we just weren't meant to be together, but
you need to be in each other's lives for
and it's hard because it's like, surround yourself with great people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And like, you know, maybe that your strong feelings for them aren't so much romantic anymore, but just as a human.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, I think it's possible. But yeah, I think as you're stating as a blanket rule, it's not likely a good choice at all.
Okay. Is it a bad idea to date your coworker?
I would say it depends on how close you work with them. If it's someone that is at your employment, but you like rarely see, I think that's probably fine. In fact, that's probably where most people meet each other. Honestly. Well, not most people, but that's probably a huge...
I think it's where most affairs start.
Oh, I bet. I have no doubt of that. But I imagine that would be fine as long as you're not... Is it going to impede the work that you're doing? Not that work supersedes relationships, but if you're going to plan on maintaining both of them, a relationship and work for the both of you, that's probably not a good idea if your relationship will impede your ability to work together. Likely. But if you work in the same company or whatever, and maybe not same departments or maybe not close enough where your work overlaps with each other, then yeah, I think that's totally fine.
Yeah, I would say as a general rule going into it, kind of write people off.
Yeah.
However, family that went to our church, for privacy's sake, I won't mention their last name, been married for like 35, 40 years now.
Oh, sure.
They met at work.
Oh, interesting.
When they were in their like college years.
Sure.
So I would say like, don't let it get in the way of like a potentially like an amazing lifelong partner.
Right.
But at the same time, go into it with the mindset of like, no, we work at the same company. Not a good idea.
Right. Yep. Yeah. There's a fine line to that. I think it is acceptable, but you got to be real careful.
You got to know what you're doing.
Yes.
You got to know what you're doing. You have to be incredibly professional and incredibly mature.
Oh yeah.
Before going into that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, there's a few in here that are pretty intense. I'll start with a lighter one.
Yeah.
Should I go to college?
Not unless you know exactly what you want to do with it. Now, if you want to go to college and you don't know exactly what you want to do, be willing to figure that out along the way. I think it's a total catch-22. If you want to, sure, go ahead. If you don't want to, don't. Don't feel obligated to do it. I think regardless if you go to college or you don't, you want to have some kind of trajectory. Okay? It doesn't need to be your lifelong. It doesn't need to be the exact thing you're going to do for whatever. You just need to come into it with at least a little bit of a plan. So if you're going into college, biggest thing, financially be prepared. How are you going to do that amount of debt? Do you have some way to pay for it? Has somebody gifted you a lot of money for this purpose? Do you know what you want to do for a career? Or at least have an idea of what you'd like to aim at for a career? If you're going to college because you want the experience, don't go. Straight up.
Yeah.
Do not go. That is a waste of your time and money.
Yep.
Like, yeah, it may be fun and everything, but it's going to cost you way more than it's worth.
Yep. I would say a phenomenal alternative, which I think is becoming increasingly attractive, is getting into a trade.
Yep.
I would say specifically E&I, electrical, and automation.
Yep.
That is, oh my God, those E&I guys and automation guys at my work, invaluable.
Right.
Like, if they weren't there, that company wouldn't survive a day.
Right.
You know?
And I think from my perspective, what I ended up doing was I got a 2-year degree, right? Paid for it right out of the gate, just out of my own money with working. And then with the intent, I knew I wanted to get a bachelor's degree, but I didn't want any of the debt. So I went into a company that would pay for it for me. So I'm doing that. That is my process. That's a very useful thing because I know what I want to do with it in the end. And I knew I didn't want a 4-year degree because I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. I didn't want debt. So that's another option as well.
Okay. These ones are going to start getting a little intense.
Let's do it.
Start off light.
Mm-hmm.
Am I depressed?
I think if you're asking the question, it's likely yes right out of the gate. Right? Like if you're searching it out and you're going, am I depressed? Likely. Yeah. What's the indicators? I mean, they're kind of individual. But I think the more pertinent thing to me is why is somebody asking the question? It's because they're trying to understand probably why their life is not great, right? Or why they don't feel good, right? Am I depressed? What are they trying to get as an answer from that? Because yes or no is not the answer they're looking for. Likely. They're looking to understand.
Sorry,
You're good.
I thought of something completely unrelated.
Yeah,
Sorry.
You're good. As a blanket statement, yes, likely. You are, if you're asking the question.
Yeah.
It's what do you do with that, right? I'd say the first thing is talk to anyone. Talk to anyone. And make sure they're a good person, right? Like, don't just go up to a stranger or somebody who has ill intent or not effective.
Someone at the grocery store.
Right. Hey!
Yeah.
No. Whoever you have that's even close in your life, if you don't have many people.
A good person who's trustworthy.
Yes. Yep. Just talk to them, be like, and it's extremely uncomfortable and makes you very vulnerable.
But just ask them, like, hey, do you have a couple minutes?
Yeah.
Do you have like half an hour? Like, I don't need to talk today, but like in the near future, the next couple of weeks, do you have half an hour that you could just like sit down, or an hour that you could just sit down and like listen to me talk about some things?
Yes. One of the deep longings that we have in our souls, we need to be able to tell our story. We constantly need to be able to share the story that we're living in life. And if you're just living it, but you cannot share it with anybody, I think that is entirely part of depression. So it doesn't have to be, hey, I need to solve this depression. It needs to be, hey, can I just share my story with you?
Do I matter?
Yes. You need to hear that you matter.
Yeah. Do it. Like, would you please just give me some sort of validation, even if it's like being empathetic towards what I'm currently going through.
Yeah.
Like, just give me some validation that what I'm going through and how I feel and who I am has some value,
yep.
Some worth.
It is happening. It's not all in my head. It's real.
Yeah.
And just acknowledge it.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Why don't I have friends? Sorry for blowing that in your face.
You're good. That one's quite difficult. Because I see people who are searching for it actively, but don't make connection well. I see this often. That's a really sad one to me because...
yeah. And that was... if you type in why don't I in Google, that was the fifth.
Okay.
Fifth most searched.
Why don't I have friends? I think a good part of that is probably you don't have a good support group in an area. You didn't meet people growing up. Like, I think a good chunk of friendships stem from people you know earlier. Whether or not they retain that same level of friendship from like a young childhood upward, you develop that over time. I think additionally it's socialization. Jordan Peterson talks about this a little bit. If you aren't effectively socialized by age 3, you don't learn how to play the game appropriately. So you don't learn how to do the give and take that is required, because winning is not the ultimate goal. It's continuing to play the game.
The game of games.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that actually is partially your answer. You need to learn how to play games and communicate with people. So how do you do that though? Especially after like youth, that's a real hard challenge. But again, I think your best bet is to start talking to people. And obviously, since you probably don't have many friends, it would not hurt to start talking to a professional therapist or something of that nature.
It might be a really good idea.
Actually, it's a really good idea, because then you're going to have some level of a starting point. But understand that talking to that therapist or whatever, just because that's the first person you're talking to, they're not like your friend per se. And you can't just innately attach to that individual. But it gives you the starting point of here's how you connect with people, here's how you communicate, here's the things you need to learn and understand how to effectively produce relationships with people.
View them as a knowledge source.
Yep.
I would say a couple other reasons just to throw them out there is you might just be really shy.
True.
And, like people, a lot of times like people would be your friend. They just don't know if you want to.
Yeah.
Maybe they just need more assertiveness from you. And a third option is you might be a really terrible person and no one wants to be your friend.
Yeah.
And that might be maybe, tie that into the therapist.
I think that one's key to the game of games. Like, if you don't play games effectively with people, I say the word games for people who might not understand the context. It's not like, oh, I'm good at Monopoly. No.
Anything.
How we are doing things. If your goal is to be the best at something and you don't care about diminishing others, then you will not create effective relationships with people. You want them to be successful as much as you want yourself to be successful. That's how you produce effective relationships.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like that one.
Yep. We're getting low on time, so I'll try to get some good ones out here. This one probably won't require a long answer at all, but this one's crazy. This was the number one searched if you type in, is it good for me to destroy the world?
Wow.
Yeah.
Why is that even part of a question?
Yeah. And when I first saw that, I was like, this is obviously a joke. I was like,
is it good for
the
me?
number one search? Like, there's not that many trolls out there.
No. I think that just comes from pure narcissism, personally. If you've derived life down to a point where it's like narcissistic in and of itself, there is no value, everything is meaningless, life is worth nothing, and the continuation of it is garbage, you end up with a result that says, I should just destroy everything because it's not worthwhile. Obviously, the answer is no. It's not worthwhile.
No, stop. Bad. Yeah, that was...
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's cool.
Okay.
I mean, not good, but wow.
So here's one.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if you can guess what it was. Okay?
Yeah, ranking?
No, just what Google brought up.
Okay.
So I typed in, can I get...
Oh, my God. I don't even know what's... Can I get... I don't know, more money?
Do you want to hear what the answer was?
Yeah.
Ahoy, yeah.
Are you serious?
Dead serious. Dead serious, dude. That one's a throwaway.
That's good.
Yeah, that was good. All right. I think this should be the last one.
All right.
Am I lucky to be alive?
Maybe, but maybe not either. I'm not saying that in the sense that being alive isn't wonderful. I just don't think you're necessarily lucky for it. But I would look at it in the sense of, should I be grateful to be alive? Hell yes. For sure. And if you want to look at that from am I lucky to be alive? Then yeah, that's a grateful attitude. Because I am fortunate that I have this life. And I don't even care what your life is. That is the number one outcome of whether you're going to be fruitful and happy in life, is having gratitude towards your situation. Like, there's people who've written stories that survived the Holocaust based on their mindset of how they were in the camp. Like, I'm grateful that I found this piece of bread today.
Viktor Frankl.
Yes, thank you. Yes, you are entirely lucky to be alive. Not in the sense that you can't create your own circumstances, but life is wonderful. Life has all the potential for you to do whatever it is you want to do in life. And not from a selfish means, but producing the most good in your life and the people around you's life. Of course you are lucky to be alive.
Yeah, as far as we know, it's the best thing.
Yeah.
You know, every joy and pleasure and feeling of love you'll ever have, it's all in life, you know, like, and I would say you are pretty lucky. Like, if you even look at the reproductive process, you know, the ones that, I don't know what the sperm count is on average during conception, but
it's a lot.
Or before conception, but like, yeah, you won that race, dude.
You did.
You know, but yeah, now you're here, you know, and I would say most of us, hopefully most of us, have people who truly care about us and truly love us, and when we pass, they will be saddened by that. And so yeah, appreciate it.
Indeed.
You know, this is it. My grandpa says often, like, there's no dress rehearsal. This is the show.
This is.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take up the last bit of time there, but we're on.
That was worthwhile.
All right, dude.
Thanks.
Love you,
bud.
Okay.